we're going to talk about guilt. So, the block of the Muladhara, which we already talked about, is fear or guilt. And so, I want to talk to you about something that's been going on in my life because it's like real life applicable, and how even since like having a Kundalini awakening, doing all these objective processes, life is still dynamic. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to ever experience these emotions again, but it does mean that I have the tools to diagnose what's going on and what's the limiting belief behind it, and implementing different patterns of behavior to get through that. So here's what's going on. A couple of months ago, I started smoking again. And sometimes, like, I get this feeling where it's just like, I get so restless and I just like can't even be in my body. I'm like, it's just like a self-destructive tendency too, where it's like, I just want to start flipping tables. I just feel like I can't just like be still. I can't just like I need something chaotic, and that's really an issue of the Muladhara Chakra, of like feeling like you're in survival mode. You just can't stabilize. Um, and so the issue for me now is like I can stabilize, but sometimes that stability and that peace is deeply uncomfortable for me because it's so unfamiliar, and it's something that I need to like become more accustomed to. And so sometimes when I have nothing going on in my life, when I'm experiencing peace, when I'm able to take deep breaths, when I'm able to like, it feels like, I call it the hot tub theory, where it's like getting into a hot tub for the first time in a long time. It's really, really hot at first. It's really uncomfortable. And then eventually it feels really good. Like once you chill into it and relax into it. And sometimes I feel this way with peace. And so, how is this related to guilt? How is this related to the Muladhara Chakra? Well, a couple of months ago, I felt this feeling where I was like, not like self harm, but like a subtle way of self harm, where it's like, and if you're an addict, you'll probably resonate with this too, where it's like, I just need to do something. I just need something outside of myself to be okay right now, or I need to do something that's like a little bit bad. And this is how it's related to guilt, is feeling like I need to do something bad. I need to do something that's going to make me feel guilty. I need to do something that is going to make me feel like somebody might get mad at me, like I'm doing a bad thing. And this is really, if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza's work too, he talks about this a lot, where your body gets addicted to emotions, and you can be addicted to cortisol. And when you're having these issues with limiting beliefs, or this issue with survival mode, this issue with guilt or fear, this issue with not being able to be comfortable with peace, this is an addiction to guilt and fear and creating chaos. And so what did I do? What did I do? I didn't know how to be with it. That's the truth. I didn't know how to be with it. I didn't use my tools. I started smoking again, because that's like, to me, and being like a recovering addict too, I can justify it in so many different ways. But to me, I was like, okay, I need to, like, if I'm going to do something bad, if I'm going to do something that makes me feel guilty, it needs to be something that's going to cause like the least amount of harm. Okay. Like, I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to, ruin a relationship. I'm not going to like, be mean or indulge in talking shit or something like that. So I started smoking again, and I quit smoking. It's been about 6 days now, and I don't think about it that much. But when I do think about it, um, there are times where I'm like, I just want to get out of this. I just want to get out of this. I just want to get out of this feeling. I just want to feel something different. Or I get into like a numb feeling where it's just like, I need to just feel something, and I'm learning how to relax into that, and I'm learning how to be with that. And even though I want to, like, I'm creating this channel, I'm creating this group, I'm marketing my skills. I'm marketing myself as an intuitive healer and a trauma recovery mentor. It doesn't mean that I don't still experience these feelings. And it doesn't mean that I've stopped learning, and sometimes I feel guilt in relation to my healing journey because I used to think that the goal for me used to be that I would be fully healed someday. So sometimes when these things come up again, this experience of feeling guilty or even seeking out the feeling of feeling guilty, doing behaviors that I know will make me feel guilty because I'm going back on maybe a promise I've made to myself to quit smoking or to not deal with that ex again or whatever, not spend that money, not eat the extra candy bar or whatever. Um, I become upset with myself that I'm dealing with this emotion again, or that I'm dealing with this experience again, or that I even have to make a choice again on how I'm going to interact with this emotion. Because I used to have this idea that I would be fully healed one day. I'd never have to experience these things again. I would come into this perfect alignment where it wouldn't even be a choice for me. I would always be making the right choice. I would always be, choosing the healthy thing. I would be able to recognize things when they're happening right away, and I would not even question it. I would just be fully awakened and aligned. And I would get a medal for being a champion of being the most healed version of myself all the time. And I think the truth is, it's just not going to happen. The truth is, the journey is the reward. The truth is, I am always making the right choice. The truth is, I'm not ever going to be doing this life thing perfectly. The truth is, there's always medicine. There's always medicine in the experience, whether I slip back or whether I'm continually going forward. Time is always going forward. Healing is always going forward. And there's no sense in me using my healing journey as a tool for me to beat up on myself for not being perfect, as a tool for me to constantly be picking at myself and saying, ooh, you missed a spot here, you missed a spot here, you missed a spot here. You're still not perfect. Guess what? Yeah, I'm still not perfect, but I am enough. And hindsight is always 2020. I can see this experience now and see um and see how starting smoking again was me craving that feeling of guilt. Actually, that's what that was. It's not that I like cigarettes. It's not that I think it looks cool, even though it does. It's not that I likes, and that's the problem too that I noticed, and this is how I arrived at this conclusion that this was me craving guilt, is I didn't like smelling like cigarettes, and I didn't want my kids to know that I was smoking, so I actually was doing a lot of behaviors to hide my smoking, like like when I would smoke a cigarette before work, I'd put on hand sanitizer, I would chew gum, or I would drink a lot of coffee so that I would not smell like cigarettes. I would smell like coffee or something else. Or like with my kids, I'd wait until they were asleep and then maybe like chain smoke like 3 cigarettes and then go to bed, versus like trying to take breaks and have them catch me outside smoking and have to explain to them that, yes, mommy's smoking again. You know what I mean? Like I just, and so maybe it's like a minor guilt feeling because it would feel more major to have to explain to my kids that I was smoking. But then there's also an element to it of where it's like getting away with it, knowing that I'm doing something bad, and then getting like a dopamine high of like I'm getting away with it though, kind of. When it's like you're not fooling anybody. And why do you feel like you have to do that? So I guess there's an element of shame there too, of like having to lie, or not tell the full truth about something. And these are like old, like deeply rooted patterns of behavior. You know, the the root of guilt the root of guilt and fear being a block of the Muladhara Chakra, what that's really saying is it's not safe to be here. What that's really saying is I did something wrong. I did something wrong. And I think you can get addicted to that feeling of I did something wrong, or that feeling of guilt, or that feeling of I might get caught, or that feeling of somebody might be angry with me. And I think when you have a lot of childhood trauma, where maybe your caregivers were very critical of you for not being perfect, not being clean all the time, um, or maybe you got yelled at a lot. I did. Even though I wasn't a bad kid, I just wasn't perfect. And, whatever. I think you can get addicted to that feeling of somebody might be angry with me. And so you subconsciously are doing behaviors, maybe stirring the pot, even something basic like that. It's like somebody might be angry with me for doing this, you know. And so I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to share that with you guys of, I got to the root of my guilt of feeling like I did something wrong. That stuff with my brother, even though I never did anything wrong. But it was always this feeling, and that's how I explained it to myself, was that I did something wrong. And it's not safe. It's not safe to be here. The world isn't safe. It's not safe to be me. So it not only, the process of recovering from trauma is multifaceted. Getting to the root of that initial first time you felt that feeling is step one. Implementation work is step two of like doing this. I'm constantly doing this self-auditing. I'm constantly looking at things through a spiritual lens. I'm constantly trying to go deeper and saying, why did I do that? Or what am I feeling here? Am I craving something that maybe isn't good for me or maybe isn't healthy? Is there a way that I can meet that need and that's healthy for me? Is there a way that I need to just be with that feeling and honor it rather than get the lighter out and start trying to set my whole life on fire and start flipping tables and going crazy? So anyway, that's like my real life application of guilt and how I still experience how it still comes back around, and how it's not a bad thing that it comes back around, and how it's okay for me to not be perfect still, and how it's okay for me to still have experiences where I'm not exhibiting the fully healed, like fully highest version of myself all the time, how I still experience shadow, and how it's just a constant unfolding process. It's a constant like peeling layers off and getting in there more. And I don't know if there is a version of me that's fully healed, that's never going to, that's, always going to be moving through emotions in life in a perfectly balanced way. And I never engage in any type of behavior that's self-destructive or self-harming again. I don't know. But I can be aware of it now, and I can catch it sooner now. And I can see how, and I can look at it and move differently based on what I want to create in my life. Okay. 6 days, no smoking. And today I am feeling a little bit squirrely. I am feeling a little bit restless. So I'm going to go I'm going to go like on an adventure instead. I'm going to go float down a river that I've never floated down before on my paddleboard by myself to feel something. Because what's the best that could happen? What's the best that could happen? I keep growing a deeper relationship with myself and we have a great time together. Yeah, hell yeah.